Tor, how you doing? Good evening. Good evening, Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well. Tor, how you doing? How you been? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? By the way, thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting the live show as well. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Sent you a DM on Telegram. Kerry, I'll check it after the live show. Good day. How you doing, Dale? Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's everybody's Sunday? Good, bad, or just starting out depending on where you are around the world? I'm good, Miles. Hope you had a great day. I've sent you a message on Telegram. I hope you see it. Tor, I'll check it out after this live show. I've got to read Kerry's message after the live show, Tor's message after the live show. I've still got to read Scott's message after the live shows. I forgot to do that. And JP's message as well. I'm good. Even Miles of CMF. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Getting back-to-back notifications on retweets. Thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting the live show. Good evening, Professor Miles. Funky brother, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hope you're all well, brother. I'm doing great. How you been? How you been? How was your day? Coin, good to see you as well. How you doing? Thank you for retweeting the live show as well, Coin. So I think by the time everyone tunes in, because everyone's tuning in one by one. So by the time everyone tunes in, we'll go through the gist of what we're going to talk about on tonight's live show. By the time everyone tunes in. So when we do go through the first news, more people are in. And then a lot of people don't miss the first part at the segment of the show. So the gist of, as usual, the gist of what we're going to talk about on tonight's live show. The first news we're going to be going through is regarding Peter and how he's cherry-picking moments inside the crypto space. The next news we're going to be going through is the analysts. That's essentially, there are many analysts and their market perspectives on how things will play out. And then we're going to be talking about Michael Saylor and how he's breaking his silence on Bitcoin. And then we're going to be talking about Tether and how apparently they're holding $91 billion in US Treasury assets. And then we're going to be talking about BRICS. And then we're going to be talking about Bank of America and regarding their new stats on upgrading where certain platforms are inside the crypto space regarding Bank of America. Then we're going to be talking about India's regulators as well. And then we're going to be talking about, on tonight's live show, regarding El Salvador. And then we're going to be talking about Kraken Exchange and USDT again. And then, because something strange has happened. And then we're going to be talking about Cardano on tonight's live show as well. A topic that we don't really cover, because there's never been much news about Cardano. But, this time there was. And then we're going to talk about crypto institutions gobble up billions in Bitcoin ETFs and stockpiling. And then we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show regarding World Bank. The World Bank partners with SNB and Six Digital. That's pretty much the topics we're going to cover on tonight's live show. But before we go through all of that, welcome to the CMF live show. If it's your first time watching this live show, we talk about recent news that's happening around the world regarding cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. And we also do Q&As as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. We are live on YouTube and X at the exact same time. Every single night you can tune into this live show. And the disclaimer of this live show is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So if it's your first time watching, welcome to CMF Live Show. If you're regular, let's go CMF. And before we go through the first part of the news, let's go inside the comment section. And what do you have? What do you think of the crash in the Iran situation? Good. So if anybody doesn't know, it's all over the news. I mean, if you don't know, it's very odd. But Iran's leader has disappeared in a helicopter accident. And people say good things don't happen in this world, is what I said. When I heard the news of Iran's leader, disappearing in a helicopter accident, honestly, I just thought to myself, and people say good things don't happen in this world. Good, honestly, he deserves it. Hi, Miles of CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hi, Miles and all CMF. JP CMF, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening Miles and Crypto Peeps, Semper, good to see you as well. How you doing? My day was good, brother. Thank you. Just waiting for the case to be over. Fair enough. Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hello, everyone. How was your weekend, Miles? What did you get up to? Work. That's what my weekend was. I had a couple of drinks with some paperwork and my laptop and AI. That's basically what it was. Just MacBook, a drink, and then work. What's up? What's up, brother Miles and CMF? Bill, good to see you. How you doing? And good to see you. How you doing? Coin, I can't read that. I can't translate it on the platform that I'm using. You gotta type it in English. JP, first time on YouTube. Let's go. Single first time on YouTube. XRP news or not? Well, we don't have no. The only XRP news that was circulating was regarding the XRP ledger, doing quite well in terms of the activity that's going on. But still, we're getting close to that May 20th, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow we should have some sort of news coming out. Is when it's going to be in. I know you can speak. I know you can speak on the topic. I know you can speak on the topic because you are Persian yourself, but don't paint a target on your back. Fair enough. That's true. Just woke up, Miles. I didn't know this. Wow. Yeah, that's what's happened. Greetings, Miles. Alina, good to see you as well. How you doing? I just won a tournament today. Let's go, Billo. Let's go. And Kerry, yeah, I do get that because a lot of people do speak about it and sometimes they do disappear when they talk against Iran. There was one incident. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about it on tonight's live show or any other live show. But there was one incident where somebody, talked bad about Iran and didn't really end well for them, and they were Iranian as well. But personally, I don't care regarding the Iranian thing. But I understand what you mean as well at the same time. Carol, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, Carol? But yeah, no, I fully understand, Carrie, what you mean as well. Now, Free and Fair, good to see you as well. How you doing? Carol, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? So, first news on tonight's live show is this. Peter, I'm normally on X and I set this up today. Let's go, JP, on YouTube. So, the first news on tonight's live show is regarding Peter. Somebody has decided to call out Peter on his cherry-picking moments inside the crypto space because Peter does, go around and cherry-pick moments inside the crypto space. So, Peter Shafru calls Bitcoin dead again and highlights silver's outperformance. And he's essentially saying that silver is outperforming Bitcoin. Despite Bitcoin's recent surge to an all-time new highs, renowned financial analyst Peter has once again shook up the cryptocurrency market by claiming the cryptocurrency is dead, when it isn't. In most recent comments, Peter, who is typically against cryptocurrencies, focused on the recent performance of Bitcoin relative to silver, drawing attention to the striking differences between the two. Yes, one's an actual hard asset and one's digital. That's one big difference right there. Peter notes that silver's 21% raise since April dwarfs Bitcoin's 2% gain. This underperformance, he says, is the last straw that will cause Bitcoin to collapse. So obviously, Peter is the type of person that zooms into charts. You know, the type of people that decide to zoom into a chart and never zoom out. And Peter just zoomed into the chart and said, look, silver is outperforming Bitcoin. Well, Peter, if you decide to ever zoom out of the chart, you can see where Bitcoin started and where it's sitting at right now. And it doesn't seem to be as outperforming Bitcoin in any sort of a way regarding silver. So cherry-picking facts. Bitcoin advocate, however, argues that Peter cherry-picks facts from the near term to back his claims, which is true, he does. Compared to silver's more moderate 14.46% rise so far this year, Bitcoin's spike over 60% is striking prominence of both digital currency and more conventional assets, continue to argue about this consolidation. Peter went on to explain his position by saying he's worried about the marketing of Bitcoin as a digital gold substitute to save prospects investors from committing from what he perceives as a serious mistake. He plans to clear up what he thinks is a misunderstanding. If Bitcoin prominence would only quit comparing it to gold, Peter says he would feel less need to openly oppose it. Peter insists that his criticisms are based on a sincere concern for the welfare of investors. Peter sounds like Gary Gensler. You know Gary Gensler? He really cares about investors, and we all just wished for once Gary Gensler would care less. Peter's that type of person, in other words. Same let's say, personal traits. Despite claims that he is seeking exposure, he stresses that he would prefer to remain honest than seek interactions by praising Bitcoin. Well, Peter, if you're ever going to be honest for once in your life, maybe zoom out of the chart, because if you look at silver's performance and Bitcoin's performance of all time, there's a different story there. But seasoned traders Peter Bandit says everyone should ignore Peter's negative predictions for Bitcoin and claims that Peter is trying to deflect attention away from Bitcoin's achievements by using his position to highlight silver's performance, which is true. Yeah, Peter, you know, and he has quite a huge following, let's say. Peter has a huge following on social media, and a lot of people are actually following Peter, which is the sad part about this. There's a lot of people actually following Peter on X or all of these social media platforms, and Peter is, going against cryptocurrencies, going against Bitcoin, or so on and so on. And we are shifting into a digital space. And if anybody's listening to Peter, they're going to be ending up on CBDCs. And then after that, you basically have Peter to thank for that. So if you are following Peter on social media, when we go to CBDCs, which we will, you're going to have Peter to thank because you're on CBDCs and you didn't go for cryptocurrencies because Peter was guiding you. Obviously, we know Peter is an intelligent man, most likely the brain cells of a goldfish. So if anybody is following Peter, good luck on CBDCs. Now, analysts predict Bitcoin's next big catalyst. Is the next news we're going to be going through on tonight's live show. We're going to some, predictions and outcomes of how the market could be playing out from different perspectives. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section. Here we go. I'm normally on X. Okay, we were here. Miles, how are you? I'm doing great. Taft, how you doing? How you been? Hyper Sniper, good to see you as well. How you doing? Do you buy gold or silver, Miles? Do I buy gold or silver? Yes, I do tend to sometimes buy. Not all the time at all, but tend to sometimes, yes. I was thinking that's because it's not too good on the iPhone. Enough. Good evening, Miles, and all in the CMF. Adi, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Peter is a nutcase. Peter is a nutcase. I'm back to X. Lol. I think YouTube is better on the laptop, as Shelly said. Fair enough. Peter's like Sleepy Joe. He's not quite right in the head. Fair enough. I think Romy is following Peter. No, that's not good. June will be a big month. Yes, July will be a big month as well. July is what the Bank of America said was going to be a big month. It was July when I read the newspaper. No. Now, analyst predicts Bitcoin's next big catalyst. Cryptocurrency market volatility has led some analysts to believe they know the next big catalyst or trend that will drive Bitcoin BTC price to new levels. With an approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF transactions that happened, with the SEC's essentially approval of the completion of the BTC halving already past us as well, many crypto enthusiasts continue to worry about what might trigger the next rally. Is Bitcoin ready to rise? Question mark. Well, in recent years, developers have invested their efforts and resources to fix Bitcoin's design flaws. Yes, some people, who are in the crypto space genuinely believe, Bitcoin has no flaws and it's foolproof. In reality, not so much. There are actually people trying to make Bitcoin better, which is not a bad thing. We have the Lightning Network, we have MicroStrategy working on movements on the Bitcoin network, trying to make it faster, cheaper, better to build on. So Bitcoin obviously has some flaws that need to be detailed out as well. So in recent years, developers have invested efforts and resources to fix Bitcoin's design flaws. At one point, Bitcoin's layer 2 networks were introduced to overcome this challenge. An example of this is the Lightning Network, an L2 designed to upgrade Bitcoin's application like payments. Over time, several of these solutions proved insufficient, which was true, to meet the demand for these smart contracts. Then, Bitcoin ordinals made an instant difference. Additionally, an anonymous developer named Domo essentially proposed the implementation of BRC20s, which used the inscription mechanism to issue tokens on the Bitcoin blockchain, which didn't really go too well either. The current state of BTC, despite innovative efforts so far, including the Runes protocol, which is the new venture going on Bitcoin right now, advocates believe more can be achieved. Despite all these changes, the broader cryptocurrency industry has seen software infrastructure called bridges built to move tokens between networks become vulnerable to hacking and contribute to users as well. That's also an issue as well. It is expected that the pullback of Bitcoin's price from 73,000 in March was due to the decrease in investors' interest in the flagship cryptocurrency. These shortcomings have faced developers to seek ways to strengthen the BTC network. The community is considering proposals like OP-CAT, which is a new software that might be implemented on Bitcoin's network. So if you haven't heard of it, basically this is what it is. The community is considering proposals like OPay underlying CAT, a software upgrade for the Bitcoin network. The integration of this solution is believed to facilitate the implementation of programmability on Bitcoin's network. Various protocols, including Layer 1 foundations and Arch, among others, are developing solutions to facilitate Bitcoin's programmability. Bitcoin is currently trading at 66,000, down 0.3% from the time this article was written. But yes, there is a new software that might be implemented. It's being testing out right now, that could be tested out and could be implemented on Bitcoin's network. And yes, we did go through some stages regarding Bitcoin, trying to make it faster and cheaper and easier to build on. We had the O'Donnells, the Bitcoin O'Donnells, that didn't really go too well. Bitcoin NFTs was an absolute disaster. Then we had, after that, some other Bitcoin features that were all terrible as well, and Binance even dropped one of those features as well and said we're not going to be doing Bitcoin NFTs anymore because it just slows down the network, makes it more expensive. But the new venture on Bitcoin is still Runes. Bitcoin Runes is still going on. Let's see how that works out. And the next venture that's going to be on Bitcoin is OP underlying CAT. Is the next proposal to be considered to fix Bitcoin's flaws. I hope that works out because Bitcoin needs to be faster and cheaper and easier to build on. It's not asking for much in a digital world. Now, Michael Saylor is the next news we want to be going through on tonight's live show. Michael Saylor breaks his silence on Bitcoin's price. Because Bitcoin is not doing major movements and everybody's keep on messaging Michael Saylor, especially on social media, and his investors, and they're all asking they're just poking him with a stick and saying, when is Bitcoin going to be moving? Because, you're telling everybody to buy, and you've used a lot of investors' money to buy Bitcoin, but we're not seeing the movements. But again, it just goes back to that, saying of money's not made overnight, money's made over time. So I understand, Michael Saylor finally breaking his silence to say something about it, which we're going to go from tonight's live show as well. But before we do that, let's go inside the comment section. So, June will be the big month, is what comes with, yes. Miles, what's the estimate of when the XRP SEC case will finish this year? The XRP Ripple case. So, half this question inside the comment section is, Miles, what's the estimate of when the XRP SEC case will finish? It has to finish this year. It has to end this year. There's no point of carrying this case, into next year. Absolutely no point. It's just going to be an absolute facade trying to carry it into next year. For what? There is nothing left on this case. It's just pay your fine and move on for everybody, is what the stage is at right now. So they shouldn't be carrying on, until next year. This year it has to end. How you doing, Miles? Good to see you. How you doing, Sam? Good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? If I send crypto to someone who lives in Dubai, do I still pay taxes? Prince of Persia, cool name. Do I have to pay taxes if you send crypto to somebody else? It falls under a gray area, and it depends on your jurisdiction that you're sending from. But if you're sending crypto, well, here's the thing. If you're sending crypto to somebody on an exchange, then you would have to fill in their full name. So if you're sending crypto from crypto.com to somebody or Coinbase to somebody, then you would have to obviously write in the full name of the person you're sending it to. You have to send in, the amount and their wallet address, and everything is tracked. And it falls under a gray area type of situation because you're not selling it, you're sending it, and that's why. So gray area falls under. For now, we don't have a set of regulations, full regulations yet. When we do have full regulations, we'll have a better understanding of the situation. But it falls under a gray area. But still do some, research in terms of the jurisdiction you're in. So if it's the UK HMR revenue, try to look into that, see if it does fall under a gray area or not. If you're from a different jurisdiction, then check on your government websites. Now, today was a nice day for shopping. Yes, it was, JP. Today the markets were a very nice day for shopping. Jim, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Paul, good to see you. How you doing? I heard the case will end in August. Yes, Jim, good to see how you doing. Regarding the case ending in August, there's a lot of rumors going around on the Ripple case. It's going to be ending in August. It's going to be ending in July. It's going to be ending in June. It's going to be ending on the 20th. There's a lot of rumors going around, but they're all rumors. You can consider them as outcomes, next month or the month after, the month after. You can consider them as outcomes, but it should end this year. I mean, there's no point of carrying on next year. So, Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor breaks silence on Bitcoin's price pause. Now, I wouldn't say it's paused in any sort of a way. I mean, I wouldn't say Bitcoin's paused, out, stabilized more like, because it is moving, 5% up, 6% up, then 2% down. So Michael Saylor finally breaks his silence as Bitcoin's BTC experiences a period of paused prices. Michael Saylor, the chairman of MicroStrategy, has made a public declaration that he is resonated throughout the cryptocurrency community. His message, simple and direct. Bet on Bitcoin is what he said. And that's the only thing people were able to squeeze out of him. Now, Michael Saylor's statements comes at a pivotal moment for Bitcoin. After a significant price movement, the world's biggest cryptocurrency is seeing unusual calm. In a recent tweet, Michael Saylor reinforced his unwavering confidence in Bitcoin, saying to bet on the digital asset despite the current price pause. This bold, essentially, proclamation is not out of character for Michael Saylor, which it really isn't, because he's been telling everybody to buy Bitcoin. Obviously, these aren't my words, and it's not financial advice. It's Michael Saylor's words. He has been telling everyone to buy Bitcoin, no matter what the price point was. To be fair, so yes, it's true. It's not out of character him suggesting this now as well. Who has always championed Bitcoin as a superior store of value and a hedge against inflation. MicroStrategy, under Saylor's leadership, has been at the forefront of corporate investments in Bitcoin, which is also true again. The company's aggressive acquisition strategy has seen it amass a substantial Bitcoin portfolio, making it one of the largest institutional holders of the cryptocurrency. Saylor's latest message, bet on Bitcoin, might be a reaffirmation of his beliefs in Bitcoin's long-term potential. On Friday, essentially, the price of BTC rose on Friday above $67,000 for the first time in nearly months, as bulls emerged after 8 weeks of sideways to low movements. Following this feat, the Bitcoin price has shown relatively little movement, falling to a reach of $68,000 as bulls take a little respite. Now, Bitcoin was trading up a 0.06% in the last 24 hours, around $67,000, and having reached highs of 67,701. Bitcoin is still up 10% over the last 7 days. At the market watches and waits for Bitcoin's next movements, Michael Saylor's voice serves as a bullish counterweight, encouraging crypto holders to remain firm in their beliefs. Now, on the topic of this scenario of Michael Saylor, keep on championing Bitcoin and saying that it's the number one chosen project for corporates, and so on and so on, which he's not lying. It is true. On paper, it's definitely the number one chosen project regarding institutions. Definitely, because we saw the F13 filings from the SEC, 937 corporations, or holding Bitcoin ETFs. Yes, we can see definitely that it is the number one project regarding corporations. So he's not lying on that matter. And him suggesting, no matter what the price point is, buy Bitcoin is what Michael Saylor is suggesting. It's true. It's not out of character in any sort of a way. A lot of people said that institutions wouldn't buy Bitcoin at 40,000 or 50,000 or 60,000, and so on and so on. But those people don't know what they're talking about, because institutions have a lot of money and they were buying at 40, 50, 60, and so on. Michael Saylor was selling company stocks to buy it at 60, for example. So yes, it's not out of character him suggesting that to everybody, and he has turned his entire company into a Bitcoin company as well. MicroStrategy, $1 billion Bitcoin company. So let's see what he comes up with in the future as well. He is developing on the Bitcoin network as well. I think there is two people inside. Well, there's one person inside the crypto space that can definitely propel Bitcoin to new heights, and it's Michael Saylor. I was going to say Elon Musk, but Elon Musk prefers a variety of crypto assets. Michael Saylor is more just Bitcoin in general. So if there is going to be one man that changes the course of Bitcoin, makes it faster, cheaper, easier to build on, it's definitely going to be Michael Saylor, and it's definitely going to be MicroStrategy that does it. No other person is good for the job. we've had so many different, small or medium-sized companies come out of nowhere, or teams try to build on Bitcoin, make it easier, and so on, and they all failed one by one. MicroStrategy is the only one that could fix Bitcoin's flaws, to be fairly honest, in my point of view. So yeah, he's not lying. Everything he says is completely true. He is still advocating for it. He's not giving up on it, and he is still building on it. And he's telling everybody to bet on Bitcoin, no matter what. And the market will rebalance and go on the uprise, is what he's suggesting. Now, Tether is the next news we want to be going through on tonight's live show. Tether holds over $91 billion in U.S. Treasury assets, apparently. So Tether is apparently holding 91 billion US dollars in treasury assets. Now, the reason why I'm saying apparently is because nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen Tether's treasury bonds at all. So stablecoin issuer Tether reportedly the interest, but it's not actual. It's not actually on paper. Nobody's ever seen it, so that's why it's reportedly, or assumptions, holds over 91 billion US dollars in US Treasury assets. Reports indicate that the stablecoin company ranks 19th, ahead of Germany, in US Treasury bonds, are a rapidly changing drawing attention in the global financial arena. Major investors like China and Japan continue to influence markets with significant changes in their investment positions as well. Tether and the US Treasury assets. Tether's first quarter reports show a significant potential of stablecoin projects affecting national and global finance. The company's financial statements revealed over $90 billion in US Treasury bonds. Reports suggest that Tether may hold treasury assets directly or indirectly. Additionally, the company stated its Bitcoin holdings would be valued at $5.4 billion by the end of the first quarter. The stablecoin company is making significant strides in the global finance space. It currently ranks between South Korea and Germany in terms of US Treasury rankings. Overall, the company led by Paulo Anjuro recorded a total profit of $4.52 billion in the first quarter regarding Tether, and notable deals on the notable deals on the subject. Major players inside the US Treasury landscape are making strides regarding to changes. Countries like Japan and China were significant holders of the US bonds treasury, but their positions continue to shift. China reduced its US Treasury bonds from $869 billion to $767 billion in 1 year. That is true. China has decided to sell off some of the US Treasuries to lower the dominance of the US dollar and push their own currency agenda in BRICS. Japan has long been the greatest holder of US Treasury bonds with nearly $1.2 trillion in investments. If you didn't know that, now you do. Bloomberg's latest global financial forecast suggests Japan might sell some of its treasury assets due to the weakening yen, which will put pressure on the US dollar in that sense. And stablecoin projects and other crypto assets are becoming more integrated into the global finance necessities regulations. And former House Speaker Paul Ryan shared the following subject. Stablecoins will be integrated in the US dollar into the global digital economy and create trillions of new demand for the US Treasury bonds, notes, and bills. Tether's investment in treasury assets may continue to grow, and appropriate regulations are needed to prevent illegal money. Now, let's just assume that Tether is holding $91 billion in US asset treasuries. Now, nobody's seen it, and this report is coming from Tether, essentially from Tether directly to a journalist, which shared it to the rest of the world. So nobody's seen that if Tether does hold these types of assets in any sort of a way, but let's just assume Tether does. That's not good, because the US is, one, still not in favor of Tether or USDT. Two, because they're the number one stablecoin and their title is US dollars, and well, the US doesn't have control of the number one stablecoin, which is US dollars. You can see where the issues start to arise for the United States. And three, again, let's just assume that this is true. Good for Tether, but In reality, we don't know if this is true in any sort of way because Tether has never revealed their assets. Tether is claiming to be holding a certain amount of assets still till this day. Nobody's ever seen them. So major issues will still arise. Now, going to what essentially the the House person said, for example, so the House Speaker, Paul Ryan. The House Speaker, Paul Ryan, said that stablecoin regulations will integrate the US dollar into the global digital economy and create trillions of new demand for US Treasury bonds, notes, and bills. That part is true, yes. The more stablecoins we have, the regulated they become, yes, it is definitely going to help the US economy. I mean, the number one, and I say this to people all the time. A lot of people say to me, oh, in a digital world, the dollar will lose their dominance. No, the dollar will never lose their dominance in a digital world because the number one stablecoin is the US dollar. Even in a digital world, the number one stablecoin is the US dollar. Traditional assets, it's also the US dollar. So it doesn't matter what world you look at it, digital or traditional, still the US dollar. So I can see what Ryan's on about, Paul Ryan talking about how the US dollar will still dominate in a digital world because it will, because it already is. It's just the US isn't in control of Tether. That's where the main issue arises regarding that matter. Now, BRICS. Now, yesterday I was talking about BRICS on this live show and saying that essentially BRICS is not about a collective of basket of currencies. It's more like China pushing their yuan onto the BRICS nations and everybody else that joins BRICS and the rest of the world. And I said this yesterday. Interesting enough, today an article came out regarding BRICS and it says BRICS, will the Chinese yuan put the end to the reign of the dollar? You see how the title isn't will BRICS put an end to the US dollar? It's will the Chinese yuan put an end to the US dollar? And it's BRICS news. It's a BRICS news and it doesn't say BRICS will put an end to the US dollar. It says the Chinese yuan will put an end to the US dollar. Because as I said yesterday, it's not a collective basket of currencies in BRICS. It's the Chinese yuan. Now, before we go through that news, let's go to the comment section. Miles, who is Gilbert Venden and can take quantum new heights? Maybe. And Pure Skill sees how you doing? Maybe he can. Now, several countries, including China, are striving to reduce their dependency on the dollar by promoting the use of their own currency in the international transactions. However, despite the ambitious monetary diversification attempts undertaken by this BRICS member, some experts remain skeptical about their success, about the Chinese yuan's success. According to the analysts, the dollar will withstand external pressure and maintain its supremacy over the Chinese currency, which is true. China tries to overshadow the American dollar. China is intensifying its efforts to reduce the dominance of the American dollar in global trade by encouraging the use of the yuan in the international exchanges, particularly through trade agreements with BRICS members and nations like Russia. China seeks to establish its currency as a viable alternative to the dollar. Recently, it conducted a $260 billion worth of transactions in yuan with Russia, excluding the dollar from these exchanges. This initiative is a part of a broader context where BRICS countries are also considering developing a common digital currency independent of the US dollar dominant financial system. This ambitious project aims to create a multipolar financial structure where the dollar would no longer be the sole global reserve currency. Meanwhile, the United States faces internal economic challenges that contribute to the essential position of the dollar. Economic indicators such as the increase in the national debt and economic uncertainties fuel concerns about the stability and ongoing appeals of the currency as a global reserve currency. This situation could favor efforts of the BRICS countries, but the dollar remains a currency of choice for many global economies. Lost cause for China? Despite Beijing's considerable efforts to internationalize its currency, the yuan remains hindered by strict capital control policies and limited regarding international liquidity. These restrictions are partially responsible for the global markets reluctant to adapt to the yuan on a larger scale, Would you look at that? Nobody wants to use the Chinese yuan for business purposes. That's not going to be good for BRICS because BRICS' whole motto is collective basket, but technically the collective basket is Chinese yuan. That's not going to sort of way for China. And regarding these are the realities of BRICS and Chinese yuan that nobody talks about inside the crypto space because everybody will tell you about the good side. BRICS is coming, dollar going to zero. Yeah, happy, pop the champagne bottles. But the reality of it is nobody wants to use the Chinese yuan, outside the BRICS circles. Even inside the BRICS circles, it's just Russia. The rest aren't using it. And, other BRICS nations don't need to use each other's currencies either. And I explained yesterday how, Russia rejected, India's rupees for oil trades because to Russia, they're worthless and they would expect dollars from India, ironically. So a lot of people are struggling to understand why they should be using the Chinese yuan. You see, the biggest issue of China trying to spread their yuan is that they're going up against the US, which is a losing battle because the West will completely be in favor of the US. Middle Eastern countries, the majority of them are also with the US. Asian countries, some of them are also with the US. They might play both sides, but they're actually with the US if it comes to the end of the day, scenario, let's say. And that's why China is struggling to push their yuan to anybody they can. They're having quite a lot of difficulties pushing their yuan because nobody wants it. Nobody wants China's money to be using it for trades, except Russia for the time being. None of the BRICS other members are using it in any sort of way at all. So that's why China's having some difficulties. And also because another reason why China will be a losing battle for them, going up against the US, is because if the US actually sanctions China, a lot of people will see that, the US will get economically, it will be quite bad for the US if they do sanction China. Yes, it will be bad for the US, but also it will be much more worse for China because nobody will buy anything from China in terms of actual regular trades, which means China's economy goes down the toilet in about a few months, whereas the US will be still standing strong. Yes, it will be hurt by the not doing business with China as scenario, but it will still survive everything. China, on the other hand, can't sell anything to the European markets, can't sell anything to Canada, America, most Asian countries, and Middle Eastern countries, which means China's producing, and got nobody to sell it to. And you can see where China's downfall will start. So it's a losing battle for China to do this. It's pretty much a death wish to go up against them in any sort of a way. Now, you've got to understand how the real world of politics works. But you might say, well, China will be able to still sell it. Yes, but they can sell it to Russia. Let's say if China can't sell to the European markets their products, who are they going to sell it to? Russia. Do you think Russia's going to be paying top dollar? No. Russia's going to be putting the most bottom price they can. And that's going to hurt China's economy even more. Because people will just take advantage of China at that moment in time. You've got to understand how much power actually the US has in this momentum. I mean, it's in the markets, it has all the power. A lot of people still need to understand that till this day. Everybody thinks the US is weak, nowhere near it. Now going on to more on this, James Lord. The lost cause of China. So James Lord, an analyst from Morgan Stanley, warns that without significant, of China's monetary policies and greater openness of its capital markets, the yuan cannot seriously threaten the supremacy of the dollar, is what Morgan Stanley's analysts also say as well, which they're true. Beijing's strict control measures aim to stabilize the yuan, but limits its adoption as a global currency as well. Moreover, the recent real estate crisis in China and signs of weakness in other economic sectors add a layer of uncertainty regarding the long-term viability of the yuan as a serious competitor to the dollar. Despite China's ambitions and the economic robustness of the United States, and the global confidence in the dollar continue to reinforce its status as a primitive reserve currency, analysts estimate that the dollar could withstand the turmoil and outpace the currency of this BRICS member. Withstand this whole scenario of BRICS going, the US will withstand all of it and still be supreme on top of all of the BRICS currencies. And even if they do come out with one currency, the US will still be on top. because look, all of these BRICS nations, they're under the Bank of International Settlements. I mean, there's so many things to factor in, and yeah, they're absolutely useless. These BRICS, this whole BRICS notion that's coming out, they're going to do absolutely nothing. They're all one under the Bank of International Settlements. 63 centralized countries. I was talking about this yesterday. Interesting enough, I was talking about it yesterday when I was saying, BRICS is not about collective basket of currencies. It's about the Chinese yuan only to be pushed out. And today we have news coming out. It's technically, yes, it's only the Chinese yuan that's supposed to be pushed out of BRICS because China wants to replace the US power. Good luck to China. It's going to take a hell of a lot more than a la la land one collective basket of BRICS currencies to push the US out of the market. It's a losing battle. It's honestly a losing battle for China. It's a losing battle for BRICS. And at the end of the day, they're all under the Bank of International Settlements, and so is the US. The Russian Federation is under the Bank of International Settlements. China's under the Bank of International Settlements. The BRICS nations are all under the Bank of International Settlements. So again, losing battle. From every angle, they can be hurt. Every angle, the economy could be struggling. But the US will stand strong, even if they do sanction China in any sort of a way. Now, Bank of America. Bank of America upgrades Coinbase rating to neutral and raises the price target to $217. Is the next news we want to be going through. We're going to Bank of America and raising Coinbase's ratings. So Bank of America and a few other analyst firms inside the United States that, even the S&P 500 or the S&P Global Index, they rate crypto platforms. So they say, for example, they even rated stablecoins once. The S&P 500 and S&P Global Index rated stablecoins once. They said USDC is high, top tier compared to the rest, because it's the United States one. Then they said Tether is the worst, and they said a few others ones make no sense. But now we have Bank of America also doing ratings on crypto platforms, and they've said Coinbase is neutral now, which we'll go through that opinion regarding Bank of America and Coinbase. But before we go through that news, let's move to the comment section. Here we go. Okay. And by the way, I'm reading everybody's comments one by one, so if you have a comment, put it down inside the comment section. Even Miles CMF, Pierce, good to see you. How you doing? Like you said, it's all about power. They only want to use their currency. Exactly. That's facts. What JP said. Absolute facts. Lena, good to see you. How you doing? Greeting, Miles. Maybe how you doing, Lena? Maybe the other some strawberries. That's the big basket of them. Yeah. I hold ACH. What's a suitable figure of coins of ACH with about 5K budget? You have a 5K budget. You're wondering how much you should go for ACH. Whatever you think. Well, here's the thing, Jim. I could give you a better perspective if I know, what the rest of your portfolio is. Not in terms of numbers at all. I don't want to know how much you hold, but in terms of projects, as in what other projects you hold, so I could tell you, how you should be in terms of research-wise, spreading that 5,000 across. If you should be going for ACH more, or should be going for other projects more. But in general terms, ACH, an amazing project. ACH has humongous potential. I recently was on the news again regarding ACH and their movements in Hong Kong and Singapore. So ACH is doing some movements in Singapore. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, essentially issued them a new license through a new partnership that they established. XDC got the same similarity on licenses from Singapore as well. But yeah, I need to know the rest of your portfolio to give you a better perspective. Or if you want me to just tell you, randomly, I would say research-wise, ACH, definitely. 5,000 ACH, 1,000, 2,000 should be good enough. 3, maybe. In terms of research-wise, obviously, not financial advice, research-wise. Even in miles, I heard XA sold off 53 billion. Is that true? Where from? And you to elaborate on that. Susie, how you doing? Good to see you as well. Susie, elaborate on your question. Elaborate just a bit more on your question so I have a better understanding before I give you the answer. Just elaborate just a little bit. Now, Bank of America. Bank of America upgrades Coinbase rating to neutral and raises the price target to $217. Bank of America, BAC, has upgraded its ratings on Coinbase coin shares from underperform to neutral. significantly raising its price target for the cryptocurrency exchange from $110 to $217. This change reflects essentially a positive outlook for Coinbase, with several key factors driving this essentially decision from Bank of America. Bank of America cites a favorable market condition coming up. Bank of America analysts led by Mark cited the favorable macro backdrop that has bolstered the cryptocurrency markets and driven increased trading volumes as a primary reason for the upgrade. Additionally, they praised Coinbase's commitment to expense discipline and diversification, which could contribute to the improved earnings. Despite the positive outlooks, the analysts acknowledged the potential risk that could limit the stock's upside. They noted Coinbase's resilience on traction, revenue for profitability as a potential challenge, particularly if the market conditions change. Furthermore, the ongoing lawsuit between Coinbase and the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, adds a layer of regulatory uncertainty that could impact the company's operations. Coinbase shares had a decline of over 9% in the previous days, following reports that the Chicago exchange CME might enter the spot Bitcoin trading markets, potentially emerging as a competitor to Coinbase and other exchanges, which is true. I did reveal that news. So that particular news, I revealed it on this live show about a few nights ago when it was first released regarding CME. So Chicago Exchange, CME, is going to be opening their doors to Bitcoin spot, essentially, which is massive. I mean, it's the one of the biggest trading platforms in the entire world, let's say. In other words, ranking number 2 in the world, ranking number 1 in terms of securities and so on. Yes, in terms of securities, but in general, massive platform, going to be launching Bitcoin spots. Is it going to be a main competitor to Coinbase? Yes. But is it going to stay a main competitor to Coinbase? No, because the other part they forgot to mention is that Coinbase is still going to be used as a middleman for BlackRock and everybody else regarding their Bitcoin ETFs, and CME isn't going to be used as a middleman in any sort of a way. So that's where Coinbase has that edge, for example. Now, KBW increases Coinbase's price target to $230. In addition to Bank of America's upgrade, investment banking firm also decided to chime in. KBW has also increased its price target for Coinbase. Last month, KBW highlighted Coinbase's unique position in the crypto economy and long-term growth potential, rising its price target from $160 to $230 per share, while maintaining its market performance rating. Regulatory challenges persist. Coinbase continues to face significant regulatory challenges. Last month, Judge Catherine Porfolick of the U.S. District Court of Southern District of New York ruled the SEC's lawsuit against Coinbase could proceed. This decision followed Coinbase's motions to dismiss the SEC case, which includes allegations that the exchange operates as an unregistered security exchange, broker, and clearing agency. In her rulings, Judge Fuller stated that the SEC lawsuit held a essentially plausible ground, noting that the court found sufficient evidence that Coinbase operates under federal security laws and engages in unregistered offerings and sales of securities through its staking program only. Additionally, Catherine Hain, a former assistant of U.S. attorneys and partner of the Howards, has stepped down from the Coinbase board, further highlighting the ongoing challenges facing the company. Okay, is Coinbase going to fail and collapse in any sort of a way under the pressure of the SEC? No. Bank of America giving Coinbase a new rating, is it a good sign? Yes, it's a very good sign. Essentially KBW giving Coinbase a new rating is also a good sign. Hell yes, it's definitely a good sign regarding KBW, the investment banking firm, give them a good rating, or Bank of America giving Coinbase a good rating. In general, Coinbase, I've said this previously as well, it's going to be here for years to come. Coinbase will eventually become the number 1 exchange crypto platform out there. And I've said this multiple times. I said Coinbase will become, not overnight, but will become the number 1 crypto platform without a doubt globally, because it's American. Number 1 is American. It's so easy because the companies that are behind essentially, using Coinbase as a middleman. I mean, the list of people that are using them is ridiculous. Heavy profile hitters are using Coinbase. Essentially, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're all using in some sort of a way, and as a middleman type of scenario, mostly for the Bitcoin ETFs. Others for research purposes. But I've always said this: Coinbase is definitely going to be one platform to stick around, and it's a platform that does apply for licensings, and it is the number one competitor to Binance. And as Binance started to lose control, ironically, Coinbase decided to grow at the same time. Who saw that one coming? I mean, Binance getting kicked out of Canada, and about a few months after, Coinbase getting a license to operate in Canada. Binance getting kicked out of the EU markets in some jurisdictions, Coinbase getting licensings in some jurisdictions in the EU markets. So you can see the relevance of Binance losing power, Coinbase gaining power, Binance getting taken over, Binance getting sued, Coinbase getting sued, ironically, same time. But look what happened to Binance. They got, ironically, the same scenario. But Binance got taken down for 4 billion. Coinbase still battling a non-nuisance suit. But they will become the number one exchange. It will prevail under this whole scenario of the SEC, and it will become the number one exchange. Mark my words. Not overnight, over time. India. Indian regulator calls for multi-agency approach regarding cryptocurrencies. India's markets are definitely expanding inside the crypto wave, but India is also expanding quite a lot on CBDCs. A lot. And regulation situation in India, they are coming out with quite a lot of regulations, and India was the one to, a lot of people don't know this still, but India in their G20 summit that they did last year, they were the ones that essentially catalyzed on paper on pushing G20 countries to come out with regulations as a collective basket in the G20, for example. So India was the one that pushed for cryptocurrency rights and bringing out some regulations and getting the ball rolling, for example. And now India is on the verge of obviously releasing CBDCs, and they're trying to maybe restrict cryptocurrency access so they can push their CBDCs more out onto the public, which is the same thing essentially China did. China, they were fully in favor of Bitcoin mining, cryptocurrencies, and then the Chinese CBDC came and Bitcoin mining stopped, Bitcoin was banned, and the CBDC was pushed. Same thing happened in Nigeria. They banned cryptocurrencies, launched CBDCs, and then slowly decided to open the doors. India is about to go through the same process to push their CBDC even more. So we're going to go through that news next, but before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section. It's sitting in at 207 at the minute. It's came up a little bit. Thank you for the update. Let's go, JP. So here we go. I wish they would get off the Ethereum network regarding ACH. Yeah, I agree, 1,000,000%. I wish ACH got off the Ethereum network as well. It's too expensive on the Ethereum network in terms of transactions. Way too expensive in terms of gas fees when ACH is operating on Ethereum, because ACH is an amazing project, and if ACH established its own chain, good, but they have that issue of compromisation. But if ACH could go to a different chain that operates faster and easier to build on and cheaper on transactions, there's so many chains out there they could move on to. I mean, imagine ACH on XDC's network. It will be blastering quick and cheap, or XRPs or XLMs or even BNBs if they wanted to. They wanted to stay on BNBs. Sold off 53 billion US currencies. Did I get that right? No. Susie, send me the news on Telegram, Susie. I'll check it out. Or send me the news on X, and I'll check it out after this live show. It's sitting in the 2027 at the minute, so it's coming up a little bit. That's good. Thank you for the update, JP. So, India. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, has proposed guidelines to regulate cryptocurrencies, and Turkey essentially announced guidelines to regulate cryptocurrencies yesterday as well. So, has proposed guidelines to regulate cryptocurrencies to a government panel. SEBI suggests involving multiple regulators. Can everybody see me? Throw a thumbs up if you can see me. Because I had the little platform struggle situation. Throw a thumbs up if everybody can see me. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, for a second I had so the platform that I'm using to multicast to YouTube and X at the same time. For a second, the platform struggled, but we're back. Okay, we're back. That's good. So, forget where I read that. Yep, we're back. Let's go. Okay, so as I was saying, before that happened, um, India's regulators propose a multi-agency framework for crypto oversight. The Securities and Exchange Board of India (SEBI) and the Reserve Bank of India (RBI) have submitted recommendations on crypto assets and regulations to a government panel overseeing finance ministry policy, as reported by returners. The SEBI's proposal advocates for a decentralized regulatory approach, suggesting that multiple regulators oversee different aspects of cryptocurrency trading. SEBI would focus on cryptocurrencies akin to securities, manage initial coin offerings ICOs, and regulate equity market related crypto products through licensings. All of this is good because, as I said, India was the one that pushed G20 countries to regulate cryptocurrencies as a collective basket, and they did all sign a declaration inside the G20 summit that they would be, as a collective basket, regulating cryptocurrencies. So when the market becomes regulated, which means more money will be entering from institutions, essentially. Now, meanwhile, the Reserve Bank of India would be responsible for regulating cryptocurrencies backed by fiat currencies, addressing concerns about financial stability and tax evasion. The Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, IRDAI, the Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority of PFRDA, would oversee virtual assets related to insurance and pensions, respectively. SEBI's recommendations also include mechanisms to handle investor complaints under India's Consumer Protection Act. The divergent views in cryptocurrency regulations in India. The Securities and Exchange Boards of India (SEBI) and the Reserve Bank of India (RBI) have essential perspectives on the regulations of cryptocurrencies as revealed in their recent submissions to the government panel overseeing finance ministry policies. The approach favors a decentralized regulatory framework, proposing that different regulators are going to be overseeing everything regarding India. Now, in contrast, the RBI's private digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ether as the macroeconomics risk. The central bank expressed concerns about potential tax evasions on that tape on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on, Solana, and by cryptocurrencies that highlighted the risk of physical stability posed by decentralized peer-to-peer crypto activities relevant on voluntary compliance. Voluntary compliance is a very long word of saying self-snitching. The easy way of saying it is self-snitching. So if you snitch on yourself that you are holding cryptocurrencies, is by saying voluntary compliance. You're becoming voluntary, telling them that I'm about to send cryptocurrencies or about to sell cryptocurrencies. Now, in terms of South Korea, they're actually tracking people. From 15 days in South Korea, they can find out if you hold cryptocurrencies or not, and if you've paid your taxes or not in South Korea. Now, in India, they're still working on the method of how to find out, and right now they're asking for voluntary compliance, which just means self-snitching. Currently, India lacks a specific regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. A bill drafted by the government panel that happened in 2021 to regulate digital assets has yet to be introduced. As the G20 president, India has advocated for a global regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. The Financial Intelligence Unit India, FIUIND, currently surpasses 47 cryptocurrency-related entities and recently approved crypto exchange Binance and KuCoin as virtual asset service providers in March. Right now, they're rethinking on the whole Binance situation, but India's finance ministry indicated expectations for regulatory frameworks for crypto emerging from G20 nations. Okay, India is about to essentially, alongside Turkey, regulate the crypto space, which is a good thing. Okay, and again, some people might see this as a bad thing. They're fully against the regulations and they're fully against corporations coming inside the crypto sector and so on. But this is good. This is bullish news. Turkey about to fully regulate the crypto space, or India is about to fully regulate the crypto space. These are all good news because that means more money is going to be entering from institutions, corporations, and massive corporations where all the money is. And I said previously, if you're in the correct projects, if you're positioned in the correct projects, and it's easy to tell which ones are the correct projects and which ones are not, it's about contracts. Who has the most amount of contracts with the biggest names? It's a very simple game. If you want to know your particular cryptocurrency project is going to be successful in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, or so on and so on, it's a very easy game. Look at the contracts. Who are they partnered with? What are they building? Is all you need. Essentially, it will tell you if they're going to be in 5 years' time. If they're partnered with IBM, they have a future. If they're partnered with some unknown company, they have no future. If they're planning on getting partnerships, very high risk. So there's a lot of crypto projects out there that claim to do real world assets, and everybody goes, this is the next project for real world assets. But they have no partnerships, which puts it on the category of high risk. And then you have crypto projects that have some partnerships, but they're with unknown companies, which also makes them useless. And then you have the other sets of crypto projects where they have the big names, HSBC Bank as a partner, UBS Bank as a partner, Standard Chartered as a partner, IBM as a partner, BlackRock as a partner, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, the list goes on. That's a partnership for a crypto project, not an unknown company or a crypto project that claims that it's the next big project, but it has zero to its name. And it's, again, not about who's the fastest or who's the slowest or who's the oldest project or who's the newest project or who's the cheapest project, because it really isn't. It's about contracts. Who has the most amount of contracts? That's all that matters. Because the contracts lead to developments and test phases and money at the end of it. It's a very simple game. Now from the corporate sector, I've just broke it down. What I would have used different words if I was sitting inside of a business meeting. I would have used different words, but I've just broken it down of how simple this game is inside of crypto. You want to see if your crypto project has a future? Who's it working with? Very simple question. Who's it working with and what it's building? What are the big institutions holding? And what the big institutions are holding? Correct. Grayscale, for example. Now, a lot of people. I'll give you the other explanation as well. But Grayscale, for example. Actually, I'll give you the other way around. So, regarding Bitcoin, 937 institutions are holding Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of people don't know this. It's actually on paper. SEC filings, 13F filings, 937 corporations hold Bitcoin ETFs. 937 corporations hold Bitcoin ETFs. That is the reason why Bitcoin ETFs reach new heights, not because of the retail section. That's according to the 13F filings from the SEC. So it's on paper. It's actual proof and evidence that everybody can go look at. And now you might look at it, institutions are interested in Bitcoin and so on and so on. What about everybody else? Well, you also have Grayscale and essentially companies that are like Grayscale. Grayscale also has a cryptocurrency portfolio. They're holding in their portfolio Bitcoin. They're holding in their portfolio Ethereum. They're holding in their portfolio Solana. They're holding in their portfolio XRP. And they're holding in their portfolio AVAX. So you have companies like Grayscale as well, and you can tell, who has a future, who doesn't. And if you have forgotten, let me just remind you very quickly. Grayscale was the one that sued the SEC to get the Bitcoin ETFs, which should be an indication of, who's next in line for an ETF. Grayscale was the one that sued the SEC, got ETFs green lighted at a very perfect time, but got ETFs green lighted. And Grayscale has a portfolio of Bitcoin, Ethereum, which means Ethereum ETFs are technically next. I mean, it is number one and number two in the list as well. But Grayscale also holds Solana. They also hold XRP. They also hold AVAX. So you can technically maybe tell even what the list of ETFs potentially are going to be down the line from Grayscale's portfolio. But yes, Shelly is right as well. You can regarding the institutions, what they are holding is also a good indication as well. SBI Holdings, for example, SBI Holdings has made multiple speeches of how they're going to be, using XRP. A lot of people say, well, who's using XRP? Who is really using XRP? Is the number one question, inside the Ripple sector. SBI Holdings. SBI Holdings is using XRP. From SBI Holdings and the Ripple side, they've blatantly said, we are going to be using XRP more, is what SBI Holdings said. So if you ever wondered to yourself, who is really using XRP inside the corporations? SBI Holdings is. And you are holding Sol? I can't remember. Are you holding Sol? I can't remember. I am holding Sol. Yes, I am also holding Sol as well. Not a number one. It's not a number one in my portfolio, but yes, I am also holding Sol. But yeah, institutions are big inside the crypto sector. We're gonna be getting onto the topic of institutions are really big inside the crypto sector as we go along on the news. We'll get to that because I have one news that would give you a perspective on that scenario of, are institutions really inside the crypto space? Yes. The answer is a big fat yes. Institutions are, yes, definitely inside the crypto sector. And they're not going away. They're actually growing by the numbers. And we're going to go through that as well. And now, before we get to that news, let's go to this one. El Salvador. El Salvador displays a strong reserve of Bitcoin. El Salvador is the only country besides Bhutan having the good idea to mine Bitcoins. Its harvest now reaches nearly 500 BTC. Bitcoin, the currency of El Salvador. El Salvador has mined 474 Bitcoins since 2021. Ironically, El Salvador as a country. Now, first of all, you never find countries that are transparent. You can't name any country in this world that's transparent, that the government is transparent with the people. It's not impossible to name a country where the government is transparent with how they spend the country's money. But El Salvador is. Okay, and the reason why I bring this point up is because El Salvador is a country and the government is transparent on the assets they hold. Tether is a crypto project and we don't even know what they hold, but we still trust them. That's saying a lot, because remember, when have you ever seen a country be full transparent in terms of the money they're using? Never. But we have a crypto project by the name of Tether, has a token called USDT. We don't even know what's backing it, and they print it left, right, and center. The energy comes, so El Salvador has mined 474 Bitcoins since 2021, and that's without coal or gas. The energy comes from the geothermal power plants fueled by the imposing volcano of the 102 megawatts produced by the public power plant of 1.5 megawatts and are dedicated to power its small mining setups. 300 miners is all they have, Bitcoin miners. The government holds the equivalent of $354 million in BTC. The small Central American nation can now boast of having a 5,750 BTC. They have been transferred into the cold wallet itself, stored in a safe located on a national territory. El Salvador buys 1 Bitcoin per day since 2022, and the president has recently reaffirmed that his purchases will continue until Bitcoin becomes unfraudable. The country obtains its Bitcoins through daily purchases, mining, but also through the sale of passports and other government services. The country has considerably increased its Bitcoin holdings, which were estimated at least below 3,000 BTC a few months ago. Now it's sitting at 5,700 and up. El Salvador tracks to Bitcoin dates back to September 2021, when it officially made it legal tender. Now, El Salvador, in terms of a country, that's correct. It did make Bitcoin a legal tender. Also, Switzerland made Bitcoin a legal tender in one of its cities, and it made Bitcoin. I'm trying to remember the city, and I can't remember, but I did mention it on one of these live shows. But Switzerland also made one of its cities Bitcoin fully legal tender, where citizens inside that city in Switzerland can use Bitcoin at the shops to pay their bills, to pay their rent, their mortgages, and pay their taxes in Bitcoin in Switzerland. Bhutan also uses the surplus Hydro Pro to mine. Most recently, the Ethiopian government rolled out the red carpet for Bitcoin miners also. Texas is also not left behind, with the close collaboration between Bitcoin miners authorities and the local power grid as well. And despite the drop in Bitcoin, the criticisms and the pressure from the International Monetary Fund, the Bitcoin strategy has remained unwavering for El Salvador. And what they mean by the International Monetary Fund, the International Monetary Fund told El Salvador's government and president to drop Bitcoin, and the International Monetary Fund will help them out. And El Salvador's president, in a very nice, polite way, told the International Monetary Fund to stick their offer where the sun don't shine. Essentially, because the International Monetary Fund said, you owe us money, we'll make it go away and borrow you more money. Just drop Bitcoin and drop the whole cryptocurrency plan for your country. And El Salvador's president basically told them to stick their offer where the sun don't shine. And he said, nope, I'm still going to continue mining Bitcoin and opening more doors for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. All nations having access to green electricities would do well to imitate the El Salvadorian strategy. Unfortunately, many governments still see Bitcoin as a threat. Let's hope that the endorsements of BlackRock through the launch of ETF in January will eliminate this essentially once and for all. Interesting enough, the International Monetary Fund told El Salvador that it's not good for El Salvador to be buying Bitcoin because it's too volatile, and so on. A lot of things can go bad. Ironically, it's okay for BlackRock to buy Bitcoin. JP Morgan, even JP Morgan goes around and says Bitcoin is only for criminals. And JP Morgan is also holding Bitcoin according to their 13F filings that they filed into the SEC. Regarding Bitcoin ETFs, their clients are holding it, but they're holding in JP Morgan. Vanguard, who also goes around and says, Bitcoin is a volatile asset, we will never touch it, is majority shareholder of Bitcoin mining operations. These are all public records. So I don't know, what gives them the cheek to come out on live news for JP Morgan. If I was in charge of this country, I would ban Bitcoin. That guy holds Bitcoin ETFs in JP Morgan. Vanguard comes on the news. Bitcoin's too volatile. I will never hold it. We will never touch anything to do with Bitcoin. They're majority shareholders of Bitcoin mining institutions. They're all public records. Now, in the same vein of multinationals should also imitate MicroStrategy's strategy. The Japanese firm Metaplant, also I revealed on this live show as well, has just done so by publishing an entirely rational reason for holding its treasuries in Bitcoins. That is true. There is a Japanese company that is also holding, there's a Japanese company that announced a few nights ago on this live show, I announced it, that this Japanese company, Metaplant, is going to be going headfirst into Bitcoin and backing their entire company with Bitcoin. They said they're going to be following in the footsteps of MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. They're going to be following his footsteps and making their, essentially their corporation a Bitcoin-backed corporation because they see it as an asset that could help them prevail. Same way El Salvador sees that, cryptocurrencies can help them get out of this whole, locked situation they're in with America and everybody else trying to control them, or the International Monetary Fund trying to control them. So the president of El Salvador, top man, honestly, he did come into power, and when he came into power, he fired everybody that was useless in the government, which I think should be done worldwide. There are too many politicians getting paid for no apparent reason. And there's too many of them, honestly. We do not need that many politicians, okay? And just think about it for a second. Every country has too many politicians, okay? The majority of countries, let's say the UK, for example, or the US has too many politicians, and they're all useless. The country gets worse and worse, prices go higher and higher, things become more expensive day by day, and we have that many people sitting together trying to calculate movements on to make our lives easier, and they're all absolutely useless. Get rid of all of them, okay? And hire some people that can actually do the job. It's not that difficult. We're feeding too many mouths that should not be fed. And by that, I mean the politicians. The next news to go from tonight's live show is Kraken to keep USDT in the EU despite regulatory challenges. That is a very bold move from Kraken. Kraken was recently coming out and talking about how they might be getting rid of USDT for the EU markets because the EU wants USDT to be fully transparent. The EU wants Tether or any stablecoin in that matter to be fully transparent on the assets they hold and to have some of their assets stored in the EU market banks as well. It's not asking for much. If they want the EU citizens to be safe using USDT, knowing it's backed by something, at least show us proof. Second, have some assets in EU banks. It's not asking for much. It's not that difficult. They will even help you open up the bank account so you can get the ball rolling. Tether said, no thank you, we don't want to show our reserves, which raises millions of questions on, does Tether even have reserves? And Kraken was reassessing their situation. Should we keep USDT in the EU? Should we take it off? OKX, the EU said, to OKX, we don't want USDT, in other words, because they're not going to be compliant. OKX Exchange said, no problem, we'll remove them. Kraken said, we'll think about it. Now, what does that remind you of regarding we'll think about it? So you see, the last exchange that told the EU will think about it was Binance. And we all know how that story ended. The EU asked every crypto exchange out there to delist privacy coins in the EU. And every exchange decided to delist privacy coins for EU citizens. Binance and CZ said, we'll think about it. And then came back and said, no, we want to give people the freedom of choice. So Binance and CZ, and as much as CZ, top man, I respect CZ so much. He's an intelligent person and honestly, incredible person, CZ. He did so much for the crypto space. It's unreal how much CZ did for the crypto space. And Binance, in my opinion, is still a great platform. Now, putting that to one side, Binance and CZ said to the EU, will think about it, while everybody else said, we'll take them off, we'll delist them, no problem. And then Binance got sued for 4 billion. Caesar was taken to prison, and because they thought they were above the EU and everybody else, not just the EU, but the US and everybody else. So Kraken decided to tell the EU, we'll think about it regarding, USDT. We've seen how this story ends before. So Kraken to keep USDT in the EU despite regulatory challenges is the news we're going to be going through next. But before we go through that, let me go through the conversation 1 second. What about like Australia's passing the digital ID, but we haven't heard anything about it, all kept hush hush. That's true as well. In Australia, they did pass the digital ID as well. I saw the video of the parliamentary doing the votes on it as well. And I saw what you posted on Telegram as well. But yeah, that's true. In Australia, they passed the digital ID, so it's a done deal. And COVID was the catalyst for the whole digital ID situation that happened a long time ago, COVID. And it was also mentioned in the World Economic Forum. In the World Economic Forum 2024 one, the one that recently happened, they talked about how COVID was, the footprint of the digital ID for citizens for the future. And regarding that, they meant CBDCs, as in who's more gullible to fall for this scenario. A lot of people were gullible and they fell for the scenario of COVID, and some people had to do it because of their work. Now, fast forward to today, a lot of countries are passing digital IDs, and that was the initial footprint, essentially, for digital ID. The COVID passports everybody signed up for, which nobody uses, to be real. But they were the start to see if people are gullible enough to go for that COVID scenario, but also to go for the idea of digital passports. Who uses their digital COVID passports to go anywhere? Nobody. But it was a start to see if people are gullible enough to fall for it, which they were. Some people had to do it because of work, and some people decided not to do it because of work, and some people just said, nope, I don't believe this. But yeah, in the World Economic Forum, they actually said, they discussed the matter on, it was a test run. The COVID passports were essentially the footprint of the CBDC world that we're going to be creating, of the digital world that we're going to be creating on digital IDs. So yeah, a lot of people were gullible for that scenario. El Salvador has a bright future. Yes, it does, definitely, in my opinion. And did you not say before you should learn by other people's mistakes? Yes, I did. I always said this. You should learn by other people's mistakes. Are you referring that to Kraken? Yes. I've always said a wise person learns from another person's mistake. A moron goes through the mistake. Honestly, a wise person would learn from another person's mistake. A moron would want to go through the mistake to know it's a mistake. So regarding Kraken to keep the USDT in the EU despite regulatory challenges. However, the cryptocurrency executive warned that the company will follow all legal requirements, which have yet to be defined in Europe. Therefore, delisting USDT is still possible in the near future, despite Kraken's desire to keep it. Delisting speculation started on May 17 following a Bloomberg report stating that essentially Kraken was actively reviewing Tether's status under the MiCA rules, which is true. They were, and Kraken was reviewing it, but they decided to keep it for the time being, is what they're saying. And Binance also kept it for the time being. Binance had to pay $4 billion. Their CEO got replaced, and now Binance has delisted privacy coins. You see how all that happened? But if Binance listened, at day one and realized, nobody's above the governments, and they delisted privacy projects, they would have went through so much, hardships if they just listened and so on since day one. But they had to, remove their CEOs, 2 CEOs, Binance Normal, Binance USA got replaced, paid $4 billion a fine, $50 million fine there, and now they're listening fully to everybody's questions. They've delisted privacy coins, no more will think about a comeback in scenarios, and all that scenarios happening anymore. So Kraken is on that verge. Let's see how that goes for them. Kraken plans to relist and delist cryptocurrencies from Germany as well. Recently, Kraken announced a new partnership with DLT Finance for its operations in Germany as well. As a result, the company removed dozens of cryptocurrencies not supported by its new partner, creating uncertainty for the region. For example, OKX exchange delisted Tether's USDT in Europe due to upcoming regulations. You see, OKX didn't even want to take a chance of the EU coming after them, or any sort of government coming after them. OKX just delisted USDT, said, you don't like USDT because they're not showing full transparency? No problem, we'll delist them straight away. Don't worry about it. Kraken said, we'll think about it. When the time comes, maybe. I mean, we've seen the ending of that story. In March, crypto exchange OKX delisted Tether's USDT stablecoins for users in the European Union and the European Economic Area (EEA), citing a focus on expanding on euro-dominated liquidities in the region as well. OKX limited spot crypto tradings to USDC and euro pairs, while USDT could only be traded against the USDC and euro. Nevertheless, the exchange stated that the decision would only impact a small subset of their user base. Moreover, it had recently expanded its products offerings in the EEA by introducing various Euro fiat on-ramps and Euro pairs. USDT remained available for EEA-based users to deposit and withdraw and trade on other over-the-counter OTC markets. The move by OKX could be a sign of upcoming regulatory challenges for USDT in the region of the European Union prepares to implement its comprehensive digital asset regulatory framework called MICA later this year. So OKX is going to make it. So OKX has given some lenient to some jurisdictions in the EU, but the majority are taken off, and they're going to be fully taken off once the MICA comes fully into effect. And when it's going to be coming fully into effect is this year. The MICA regarding EU regulations of crypto assets, the majority of them are going to come into full effect by towards the end of this year. And that's when OKX is fully going to be implemented and never going to be touching USDT in the EU markets. And OKX is going to be doing that. Now, Kraken should be doing that some sort of way now, starting, but they're not going to. Kraken said, we'll think about it. In particular, the new rules will require stablecoin issuers to be regulated as electronic money institutions, potentially making many stablecoins currently offered in Europe illegal if they are not authorized and regulated as e-money transmitters. Tether struggles to get regulated. The reason why Tether will struggle to get regulated is, well, we don't really know what's backing Tether, and they print money out of thin air. Now, everybody thinks the US is the only place where they just magically print money. No. We also have another alternative, which is by the name of Tether. They also print magic money. Circle, the issuer behind USDC and URC, has already taken steps to comply with the upcoming regulations by applying for electronic money institution licenses in the EU. You see, this is what happens when you know you're fully legit. If you're fully legit, you comfortably go to the EU and say, we know you're coming out with regulations and we want to get a money transfer license. USDC went straight away, essentially Circle went to the EU and said, no problem. You want us to apply to your regulations and apply for licensing? No problem, we'll do it. And we'll show full transparency. Tether said, no thank you. Honestly, it raises millions of questions about Tether of why would you say no thank you to the EU markets? That is not a small market to step away from. That is a humongous market to stay away from. And all they want is for you to apply for a license and show transparency. And Tether said, no thank you. Tether's future is going to be a very interesting one. Cardano's founder reveals 2 key solutions to power global finance OS. Is the next news we're going to be talking about tonight's live show. Cardano's founder reveals 2 key solutions to power global financial OS. But if we go through that, let's go through the comment section. By the way, if you have any questions, put down in the comment section. I'm reading everybody's questions one by one as I do. Here we go. If that document is true, that's going around that the world will come from said by 2030, you will be happy and own nothing, which is true. That document is true. Regarding the 2030 scenario, you will own nothing and be happy. That's all true. But if your life's on CBDCs, you're definitely going to be owning nothing. And as long as people believe if they, ride bicycles everywhere, you're going to be perfectly fine. I mean, it's just, the scenario about it is absolutely moronic. They tell people the people that are telling people to ride bicycles everywhere, to save the planet because the water levels are rising, apparently. The people that are telling people to do this, the World Economic Forum event, for example, the World Economic Forum event, if anybody saw how they arrived to the World Economic Forum, was just absolute comedy. These wealthy, powerful individuals took their private jets from wherever they came from, landed to that place where the World Economic Forum event is, and they landed, and then they got into a helicopter, And then from the helicopter, they landed somewhere else. And then they got into their S500s or, V8s and V12s. And they drove to a meeting in an event, a World Economic Forum event, to tell everybody to walk everywhere and, obviously ride bicycles because we need to save this planet. And then they had caviar and champagne and had a, jolly well good time, laughed at everybody's expenses, and then went back into their V12s and V8s to a helicopter pad, and then from a helicopter pad to a private jet, and then landed to wherever they wanted to go. And obviously, these people definitely know what they're talking about. I mean, if somebody is, doing all of that and telling me to ride a bicycle, I must be riding a bicycle to save the planet. It's like when an overweight person tries to tell you to, go for a run. Makes no sense. It's like me. I'm not really a gym person. I haven't been to the gym for a very long time. But it's like me giving gym advice to somebody. How would that make any sort of sense? Honestly. The last time I went to a gym, I can't remember. Well, I can't remember. It was in Scotland. But it wasn't, okay, it was about, 2 months ago. I came back from Scotland. But there wasn't a proper gym session. But let's just say it's like me, somebody that not in the gym 24/7, let's say, giving somebody else gym advice. It makes no sense. Or a person that's not a doctor giving a doctor's advice, or somebody that's not an engineer giving an engineer, engineering advice. Is that basically what it is? Is these types of people giving you a way to live? Makes no sense. You can't take a private jet and a helicopter and a V8 and a V12 to a meeting to tell everybody to walk everywhere because the planet's heating up. If the planet is heating up, let's just say on that scenario, if the planet is heating up, then why not do a Zoom call? These wealthy, rich, powerful people, why do they have to, take private jets, helicopters, and V8s and V12s, go to a meeting to tell everybody to walk about? Why not just do a Zoom call with each other if you really want to save the planet? The reason why they won't do a Zoom call is because the whole idea is bogus. But it's just about how gullible people could be. And then you have people protesting, obviously, in the streets. You've seen those people that protest, save their planet, save their planet. The people that were protesting for the oil one was the best. The people that were protesting for the stop the oil scenario, they were actually being funded by an oil company. Which makes you want oil even more. Ironically. Miles, is there any news on ETH ETFs? So far, no, but we're going to, on 23rd, we're going to have an update on regarding Ethereum. Is Solana going to hit £200? Possibility. Do you think that the crypto space would be as far along without what Binance did at the start, meaning the average Joe in crypto? Yeah, no, because Binance needed to happen. CZ and Binance needed to happen to start up and put crypto where the position it is. No, the crypto space would have been not where it was if Binance wasn't here, because CZ did so much for the crypto space, and I've always respected CZ. CZ is an intelligent person. He did so much for the crypto space, and I'll always have respect for what CZ did. If you were in the crypto space the earlier days, you would understand why I would have so much respect for somebody like CZ. He did so much for the crypto space. So no, it wouldn't be somewhere where it is now. Maybe, you never know, but Miles, have you amended your portfolio? I have. I need to just post it. I'll post it on Telegram. Hey, Miles, C-True, good to see you. How you doing? Are we okay with USDT? For the time being, yes. How can we buy Circle share stocks? You can't, but you can go for Coinbase, which is relatively the same. Is Binance and KuCoin UK okay? They still operate. Well, the Binance users, you can't open up an account if you live in the UK in Binance anymore. If you have a previous account, you can still use it. Miles, do you think all the big institutions that have filed for their BTC ETFs, but why is the price not pumping for the BTC? Well, the price did pump for the BTC, but they're waiting for stage 2. Stage 2 is a little bit more of a shakeout scenario. Is this the go-to for your lives? Is this the go-to for your lives? Is this the only live shows that I do? Yeah, every night. Yeah. So C2's question is this the go-to for your lives? Yes. So if you want to tune into this live show, as C3 does, and asking the question, yes, this is the live show that you should be tuning into every single night at this time you're watching me right now, 11:25 UK time. This live show starts 11:25 p.m. UK time every single night on X and YouTube. And we're live on both of them. That's where the comment section is mixed. So yes, this is the go-to live to go to every single night. We talk about cryptocurrencies, recent news, regulations, politics, AI, things that matter. And essentially PDF documentations, because that matters too. It's not about la la land scenarios. It's actual proof. Where will burn ramp pump stop, Miles? When will the bull run? Sorry, I don't know why I read that. Why I read that as burn is bull. When will the bull run pump stop, Miles? We're not that far off from a good scenario coming out. That's great for the ozone layer. That's great for the ozone layer, is what Shelley said. True. They really do take the. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. C3 Miles. I do that every day. Lol. They didn't want to do a Zoom call to save our electricity. Lol. Fair enough. Hello, Miles. How are you doing today? Your parents, your business efforts. Scott, good to see you, brother. How you doing, Scott? I still haven't replied to your message. I do remember. I still haven't forgot. I still haven't go back to your message. I will do after this live show. Apologies about that, Scott. And good to see you as well. My family's doing very well, Scott. Thanks so much for asking, and the business doing very well as well. How's your family been, Scott? Hello, CMF. I hope everyone had a great day. Let's go, Scott. It's like most GP doctors pushing medication, but I've yet to have a talk with the importance of the macro. And yeah, honestly, most GPs are full of bull. Yeah, honestly. He made it so easy for people to buy back in the day. Yes, he definitely did. Do you think Bruce Lee ETFs will be approved? Joking, bro. Let's go C3. Okay, so Cardano is a relatively a project that we don't talk about on this live show because there's not much news about it ever. But for the first time there is, so we'll go through it. Cardano's founder reveals two key solutions to power global finance OS. Cardano founder Charles has once again spotlighted two unique features on the blockchain that can help scale up global financial operating systems. The Cardano Hydro and Leos innovation. The post from Charles came as a response to an earlier X post from Dinam, a decentralized GPU computing network on Cardano. Dinam reflected on the beauty of Cardano, featuring a single block containing 8 transactions built for 1,600 unique, essentially, transactions. With this complex and widespread transactions, Dino spotlighted the associated transaction fee coming in at 5.16 at ADA, or approximately $2.38. It is worth noting that achieving scalability throughout and the speed with low fees remain the challenges blockchains have been essentially trying to solve. While no blockchain seems to have figured it out completely, Dino's post shows Cardano is fairly well. Now, jumping on the discourse, Charles noted that the goal of blockchain is to grow the scalability and low cost concept. To achieve this, he named Cardano Hydro and Leos as the go-to innovations to achieve this. Cardano Hydro is the dominant scalability tool Cardano has been working on for the past few years, with Hydro transactions are bundled together and proceed offline and essentially synchronized once online later. The system aims to prevent network congestion and permits a lot of simultaneous transactions processing on the chain. The Cardano, essentially Leos, is built to bring additional efficiency to the network scalability and efficiency. Combining the strength of Hydro and Leos gives Charles a confidence that a global scale financial operating system could be built on Cardano. More work needed to rank. The Layer 1 blockchain network has maintained its lead as one of the most developed protocols in the Web3 world. Its GitHub commits shows its ranks ahead of Ethereum, interesting enough, and other rivals in developer activities. However, Solana is deemed a faster protocol when compared to Cardano. The ultimate endgame for blockchain networks is to compete with the legacy financial networks like Visa and MasterCard in fund transfers. While zeal is visible among Web3 innovators, the transaction per second TPS record by these protocols still remains below par, while Charles Hoskin optimizes the blockchain world appears closer to topping traditional payment powerhouses eventually. So, Cardano is going to be, by the looks of it, going heavy-footed inside the financial sector, and he's, naming two things that Cardano can achieve. And in his words, more people should be looking at Cardano from the financial sector to build on. Companies that are inside the financial sector tend to more look at Ripple or XLM or XDC or even Ethereum or AVAX in some scenarios as well, not Cardano. However, Cardano, a lot of people don't know this, Cardano, and I revealed on this live show a while ago that Cardano is a project that's actually been chosen for data storage purposes for the Interpol. Interpol is working on Cardano. Interpol is working on Cardano regarding data storage and so on, and Dubai's police force and so on. So that's quite big for Cardano regarding data storage scenarios. Now, crypto institutions gobble up, not my words, it's the title. Crypto institutions gobble up billions in Bitcoin ETFs, stockpiling 250,000 BTC. Here are the details. Is the next thing we're going to be talking about tonight's live show. But before we do that, let's go to the comment section. No problem, take your time. No problem. Scott, I'll definitely get back to you ASAP. I'm sorry about that, Scott. So, crypto institutions gobble up billions in Bitcoin ETFs, stockpiling 250,000 BTC. This is what I was talking about, when we get to a stage where I'm going to be talking to you about what's actually happening inside the market space, and are institutions still buying? And I said, hell yes, they're still buying, but very silently. The tides are turning in the cryptocurrency world. The tides are turning inside the cryptocurrency world. A lot more. With institutional investors making a big splash in Bitcoin exchange traded funds, ETFs, while the retail investors seem content to bob on the sidelines. Which is true. The retail section is right now sitting on the sidelines, while the corporate section is actually buying, believe it or not. A recent report by the Into the Block paints a picture of the two-tiered market, where hedge funds and even pensions are accumulating Bitcoin through ETFs. That's also true. There was a state inside the United States that I reviewed. If you go about 3 live shows, so all my live shows are pre-recorded and posted when the live show ends on X or YouTube. So if you go 3 live shows down, so let's say, 3 episodes down, you can see me talking about a state inside the United States that invested about $100 million roughly into Bitcoin ETFs. Their pension funds are roughly invested into essentially Bitcoin ETFs. And it's something that was suggested by a BlackRock ETF analyst. It was by Bloomberg ETF analyst, and BlackRock's analyst suggested that they're going to be putting pension funds into Bitcoin ETFs very soon, which they already have, because we saw that on the F13 filings on the SEC, is how we know this. So it is true. Pensions are going into BTC ETFs from the F13 filings. We saw that regarding SEC, and so are hedge funds, and so many corporations. While the retail section is sitting on the sidelines waiting for a crash. A recent report by the Into the Block paints a picture of the two-tiered market, where hedge funds and even pensions are accumulating Bitcoin through ETFs, but the average investor remains cautious. Institutional investors set sail with Bitcoin ETFs. The launch of the Bitcoin ETFs on the New York Stock Exchange in early 2024 was a watershed moment, finally opening the floodgates for institutional money to enter the crypto markets. This has been a boom in the Bitcoin whales. Investors with significant holdings who have been snapping up large amounts of the cryptocurrency through these financial vehicles, which is true. There's about 937 corporations, as I said, that actually are holding Bitcoin ETFs. 937 corporations holding Bitcoin ETFs. SEC filings, 13F is what the category you should be looking at. One of those corporations is holding about $2 billion in Bitcoin ETFs. Also another reason why we saw those high price points on Bitcoin ETFs. And again, it wasn't from the retail section money, because the retail section is broke. Now, even if they have money, the retail section, they're not coordinated. Into the Block's data shows that these whales have collectively assumed an additional 250,000 bitcoins, bridging their coffers back to level last seen before the FTX collapse in 2023. So you see, institutions had a play, in markets as always, as they do, and the institutions are getting to a level where things are going back to where we were before the FTX collapse. The markets are coming back to where they were regarding institutions and how much power they have and how much they're holding. Interesting enough. That's according to data as well. Hedge funds, long expected to be driving force behind institutional adoption, have lived up to the hype. Financial giants like Millennium Managements have reportedly invested billions in Bitcoin ETFs, which is true. That's the institution, that's the hedge fund, essentially, or the financial giant that's holding $2 billion worth of BTC ETFs. That's again according on paper to their 13F filings that they had to file in. Every corporation has to file in if they're holding essentially BTC ETFs, and they're holding about $2 billion roughly, signaling their confidence in the future of the cryptocurrency. Public pensions are also getting into the game with the state of this is what I was talking about 3 days back regarding Bitcoin ETFs. I was talking about what state is investing. The state of Wisconsin making a splash with $160 million investment in Bitcoin ETFs roughly. US ETF frenzy fizzles, but the voyage continues. While the initial reception for US Bitcoin ETFs was, ecstatic, with record-breaking inflows in January propelling the entire crypto market upwards, the party seems to be slowing down. It looks like. Experts believe the early surge may have fueled by a limited number of enthusiast institutional adapters. Inflows have tapered off in recent weeks, suggesting a wait-and-see approach with some investors. Across the Pacific, the recent launch of Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong met with a muted response. The first day of trading saw a mere $12.7 million in volume, a far cry from the $4.6 billion recorded by the US ETFs on the debut. This landmark reception suggests that the Asian markets may not be as eager to embrace the crypto just yet. That is false. As I've essentially talked about it regarding the Bitcoin ETFs, regarding the Hong Kong markets, are the institutions not interested in Bitcoin ETFs? That's false. Because actually some of the majority shareholders of Bitcoin ETFs inside the United States are Hong Kong companies. So is Hong Kong interested in Bitcoin ETFs? Yes, hell yes. Because some of them are the majority shareholders across the pond. Retail investors drop anchor, unconvinced by the hype. Adding another layer to the complex story is the apparent lack of enthusiasm from the retail investors. The report highlights a significant decrease in the creation of the new Bitcoin addresses, a metric often used to gauge the retail participation. This suggests that many individual investors are staying on the sidelines, unconvinced by the recent surge or wary of the volatile associated with cryptocurrencies. So far, the retail section right now is sitting on the sidelines, which is never the best move to do. Sitting on the sidelines is the worst move to do. And what you want to be doing essentially is 1 foot in, 1 foot out, is what I've always said. If you're ever unsure of how the market is going to play out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I'll give you, I'll tell you why I say this. And I said this a very long time ago as well. So a very while ago, I told everybody 2023, ending of 2023, everybody was unsure of how the market was going to play out inside the crypto sector. Crypto influencers, the majority of them were telling people, the markets are going to crash to 25,000 Bitcoins. Everybody remember that time period inside the crypto sector where all the crypto influencers were telling people the Bitcoin is going to go to 25,000 or 20,000 or 15,000 and so on. Yeah, I was the only guy saying, no, it isn't. And everybody was saying, it is going to happen because the institutions want to buy cheap Bitcoins. Institutions want to buy $15,000 Bitcoins. They don't want to buy 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or so on and so on BTCs. I said, no. If you really understand how much money institutions have, it's minuscule to them. They don't really care if they get a discount on buying Bitcoin. They would buy it at 30, 40, 15, 60. And I said, we're not going to be seeing $15,000 Bitcoins or $10,000 Bitcoins everybody was expecting inside the crypto space. And I said this in 2023. And I said to people, look, if you're unsure, have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But don't sit on the sidelines, because whenever you sit on the sidelines, the market could go either way. But 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're still safe. If you're fully on the sidelines, you're going to get left behind. Some people decide to sit on the sidelines, which they got left behind. The Bitcoin ETFs happened. Obviously, we had that little downswing. And then what happened next? And the reason why we had that little downswing, can everybody see me? Yeah, back. We're back. Yeah, sorry about that. The platform that I'm using to multicast sometimes does this. Thanks, Miles. I have to go. I'll see you all tomorrow. Shelly, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. So that's what happened regarding Grayscale. Now, but now regarding the institutions are actually Shelly, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. The institutions are slowly buying. And I said to everybody, they're going to be buying no matter what, and no matter what the price is. I said, have one foot in, one foot out. Turns out I was right, because I'm inside the corporate sector. I know that, for these institutions, buying $40,000 bitcoins is like buying a cup of water. It means absolutely nothing for them. Or buying a packet of chewing gum is honestly the valuation of $30,000 bitcoins for them, or $40,000 bitcoins for them. It's just, for them, buying a packet of chewing gum, or and so on, buying a bottle of water. So this is why I said, we're not going to be seeing $10,000 bitcoins and so on and so on. So that's why I said regarding, don't be on the sidelines. Always have one foot in, one foot out. And yes, the numbers are still showing that they are buying. Actually, technically, they are buying. Now, one of the biggest news is I've left a little bit towards the end, which is now, and this is one of the biggest news right now. World Bank. The World Bank partners with SNB and Six Digital Exchange to advance digitalization. The bank has established relationships with SMB and Six Digital Exchange, SDX. The collaboration will provide top-notch services in capital markets using distributed ledger technology, DLT. The partnership will enhance the use of DLT by accepting coupon redemptions, payments in tokenized CHFs. The payments will be made through SDX, essentially to connect to existing financial systems. Vice President and Treasurer of World Bank commented on the progress. Leaders championing this revolution commented on the partnerships between the three-time entities. Starting with George. George, the Vice President and the Treasurer of the World Bank. This is what he said, word for word. We are grateful for the opportunity to issue the first CHF digital bond as an international issuer. This achievement marks another significant in the World Bank's commitment to increasing capital markets efficiency through digitalization and partnership with central banks and central security depositories. It builds on our previous partnerships with Bond I and the issuance of digitally native notes last October. Head of Six Digital Exchange, David, doubled down on the importance of tokenized central bank money. He said adapting wholesale transaction settlements is critical for blockchain adoption within capital market infrastructure. Maria Claire, the global head of bonds of Commerzbank, closed by saying, "Many congratulations to the World Bank team on today's CHF outing, breaking a multi-year absence from this market. The digital bond issuing marks its position as an advantage grade issuer, essentially embracing innovative technologies. The World Bank demonstrated its global investors' appeal while transforming the way in which debt capital markets move forward. I am proud of the partnership among the World Bank, SNB, SDX, and Commerzbank that lead to this groundbreaking success. World Bank to advance digitalization in capital markets. The World Bank is well sold on using distributed ledgers to improve efficiency in the capital markets. Its commitment is evidenced by its recent partnerships with DLT infrastructure providers, considering that it issued a digital bond on the Euroclear's digital financial market infrastructure last year. It's clear that it's determined to include DLT in the international financial system." That is massive news. That is absolutely massive news. We're going to World Bank. The World Bank is pretty much sold on the idea of DLTs. They're moving forward with essentially SMB, Six Digital, and Commerzbank in terms of essentially distributed ledger technology, in terms of tokenization, and in terms of producing essentially transactions to go back and forward, and also regarding CBDCs as well. They're in favor of everything. The World Bank, regarding all the testings they've done so far, they're in favor of everything to do with the blockchain space. They want to go ahead with everything to do with it, regarding tokenization, regarding cross-border payments, regarding CBDCs, regarding everything. They want to go forward with it. Now, the interesting part is Six Digital. is a Ripple partner as well. The World Bank has also worked with Ripple as well regarding distributed ledger technology. So regarding distributed ledger technology, they've worked with Ripple multiple times. As Six Digital is a partner of SBI Holdings Ripple. Now, let's consider the comment section. Yes, good night, Miles. I'm gonna Funky Brother. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. See you tomorrow night, God willing. Let's go, Funky Brother. See you tomorrow, about the same time as usual. Before we go, see, okay, retail section is sitting on the sidelines, waiting for Pepe's granddad coming soon. Pepe's grandma coming soon. Let's go, Funky Brother. Thanks, Miles. Shelly, see you tomorrow as usual as well. Good night. See you tomorrow. Institutions don't need to wait to buy cheaper because they have the money to push the price even higher. So there's no point for them to wait for cheaper prices. Time is money. They don't waste time. Facts. What Showzone just said. Absolute facts. Absolutely facts inside the comment section. That's correct. That was a small amount of money that pushed the Bitcoin ETFs to new heights. So yes, facts. What Showzone has just said. And we have reached the endings of tonight's live show. So before we always go, I always do a gist of everything we talked about, just in case anybody did tune in late. So we talked about obviously the World Bank, Six Digital, and Commerce Bank in favor of everything, and they've green-lighted everything as well. We talked, which is absolutely bullish news. We talked about crypto institutions and how they're still, buying Bitcoin on the sidelines and buying cryptocurrency on the sidelines, while the retail section, according to a study, is sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. That's never a good idea. We talked about Cardano's founder, and that's bullish as well regarding institutions. We talked about Cardano's founder telling institutions to maybe look at Cardano for developments on financial products. We talked about Kraken and how they're going to be going down a very slippery slope. It's not going to be looking good for Kraken. They try to still keep USDT inside the EU markets when the EU is not really in favor of USDT either. It's not just the US that hates USDT. It's also the EU markets. The MICA doesn't really approve of USDT because USDT doesn't listen. We also talked about El Salvador as well and how their full transparency regarding how much Bitcoins they're holding, how much they're mining, and how they told essentially the International Monetary Fund to stick it where the sun don't shine. And we also talked about other aspects of different countries that are also really green lighting on the idea of holding their Bitcoin assets and making Bitcoin a legal tender type of situation and still mining cryptocurrencies. We talked about India and how they're going to be fully regulating the crypto space, just like Turkey. Yesterday was announced they're going to be fully regulating their crypto space. India has just came forward and said we're going to be fully regulating as well. They're going to be taking it very seriously, which is a good sign for the crypto markets because the market becomes a much more mature place, which means more money will come in from institutions. That's where really the money really is. The corporates all hold them, all of the money, let's say, and it's coordinated. So if you position the correct projects that institutions are interested in, which is easy to tell. Who they're working with is the number one question you should be asking any crypto project. Who are they contracted to? Will tell you everything about the crypto project itself. So India regulating just like Turkey was announced yesterday. That's a good sign. That's a bullish sign. We also talked about Bank of America essentially rating Coinbase to a neutral scenario and saying Coinbase is going to do well. KBW financial firm also said that in their terms, in their eyes, Coinbase is going to do extremely well as well. And then we talked about tonight's lecture regarding BRICS and how China is actually the one just trying to push their yuan currency, and there's no such thing as BRICS and teamwork. There's no teamwork in BRICS. It's more like China pushing their own currency, and it was shown today by what I read out. And ironically, I was talking about that yesterday, and today that news comes out. And then we talked about Tether, and apparently they're holding $91 billion in US asset treasuries. Nobody's ever seen it, but we can all just pretend it's there. And then we talked about Michael Saylor, how he breaks his silence on Bitcoin, and that things are going to be looking on the upside. And then we talked about few analyst perspectives on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets. And then we talked about essentially Peter and how he's cherry picking crypto moments to favor his scenarios. So we talked about quite a bit, and two bullish news right at the end as well. Actually, three bullish news. One was India regulating the entire crypto space as bullish, because much more safer place, more institutions coming with money. The World Bank was absolutely bullish as well, and the corporations that are still buying according to data, that's also bullish as well. The interest hasn't gone away at all. It's still there. But it's just a very manipulated scenario, but it's still there. World Bank, bullish. India, regulating, bullish. And the institution still buying, it's also bullish. So, before we end this live show, just like always, if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. This live show starts at around 11:25 p.m. UK time. You can tune into it every single night. We talk about cryptocurrencies, talk about CBDCs, recent news that's happening around the world in terms of tech, blockchain, and AI as well. And we talk about regulations and politics because it all plays in together. And we talk about PDF and data because it's very important. As I like to say, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but opinion is not correct and facts are facts. Also, we do Q&As as well every single night, which means if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section and I read everybody's questions one by one. And we have a Telegram group as well, which you are more than welcome to join if you're watching this for the first time ever. The Telegram group is called CMF, which stands for Crypto Mouse Family, which is the name of this live show as well that I do every single night. This is episode 61 of the CMF live show, and everything I do is completely free of source, which means I don't charge any money whatsoever, and I believe education should always remain free. So the Telegram group is free, this live show that I do every night is free, everything is free. All I care about is just helping people. That's all I care about, to be very honest. And education should always be free, always free education. So if you enjoy this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and join the Telegram group as well. Telegram link is on X if you're watching this on X. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's on my YouTube profile. And drop a follow, drop a like if you're watching us on YouTube. Drop a follow, drop a like if you're watching us on X. And thank you so much to everybody that retweeted this live show on X and liked it on X as well. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Carol, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Mike, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Coin, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Coin as well. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day. Great job, Miles. Let's go, Scott. Scott, see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. And I got to reply back to your message as well. I haven't forgotten. I will see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See you tomorrow, same time as usual.